weird. I got like disconnected. Hello? 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 Isn't that weird? I got disconnected. If you make sure you're connected, the writing's on the wall. But if your mind's neglected, stumble you might fall, stumble you might fall. So yeah, I got disconnected. Sorry. Twitch, and I'm like pushing the boundaries of my bandwidth here and stuff. So who knows what's going on? But yeah, here, what do I got here for topics to talk about? So yeah, I got this awesome train station, and I'm really proud of it. It took a long time to build, but its potential is not yet realized because I have to connect it to a line. And I was and the struggle now was, well, what do I make the line out of? So. Okay, and then I was gonna be like, okay, now that I've like pontificated enough on that, I don't want to hear golems processed. What are the things we have to talk about? There's a whole bunch of stuff. But first off, I want to start off with the shirt I'm wearing again. What is that? That is 3 syringes. That is saying get vaccinated. Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated. If you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence, get vaccinated. If you're doing your own research, let me tell you what. I did some research. I'm going to read it to you right now. Why don't you listen to me? And we'll do some research together, okay? Let's do research together, okay? Research together. Did you know in Idaho they have a do not resuscitate order going on right now? Do not resuscitate. That means if you go into cardiac arrest, they're not going to save your life. They're going to just let you die. So here, like, how did we get to that point? Here, oh no, here, let me make sure everyone can see in friend view. Right? What is do not resuscitate? A universal do not resuscitate order. Oh, wait a minute. It doesn't matter how I move it here. It's over there. All right. A universal do not resuscitate order. Adult patients hospitalized during a pandemic, health emergency, when crisis standards of care have been declared, and a hospital is using mechanical ventilation allocation framework due to demand for ventilators exceeding supply, should receive aggressive interventions. However, they should receive no attempts at resuscitation, compressions, shocks, or intubation if not yet intubated. In the event of cardiac arrest, the likelihood of survival after a cardiac arrest is extremely low for adult patients. As well, resuscitation poses significant risks to healthcare workers due to aerolization of bodily fluids and uses large quantities of scarce resources such as staff time, personal protective equipment, and life-saving medications with minimal opportunity for benefit. This universal do not resuscitate order does not apply to pediatric patients. However, pediatric patients requiring a ventilator after resuscitation would enter the ventilator triage protocol after resuscitation, just like other patients needing ventilator access. Woo, that's a lot of words. What am I saying there? What am I saying? Because we're doing research, right? This is in the state of Idaho. Idaho has a Republican governor. They have their own way of doing things. But let's go take a look at stuff. I have to keep moving, or like my bandwidth, like I don't know. I don't know. Okay, what does that all mean? What did I just say? What, like, let me break that down for you. All right, that means every adult diagnosed with COVID-19 in Idaho is on a universal do not resuscitate order. Every adult. Do not try to live with the virus. Get vaccinated if you can. Wear a respirator or well-fitted mask, good seal, and ventilate your workspaces, schools. Because every adult diagnosed with COVID-19 is on a universal do not resuscitate order. Every adult. They're not checking for vaccinations, right? Don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong. You know, people want to scaremonger and say, oh, they're trying to force me to get vaccinated. No. They're not checking to see if you're vaccinated. They're checking to see if you have COVID. Right? It's called crisis standards of care. They're not going by if you're vaxxed or not, but if you have bad COVID or not. But unvaxxed people get bad COVID and need hospitalization. Vaxxed people do not get bad COVID because that's how the vaccination works. If you get COVID while you're vaccinated, it's not as bad. So here, let's look at those two things. See? Remember, vaccination status is not listed as part of the considerations for prioritizing care. It is also against the law and against medical ethics for Idaho's healthcare system to triage patients based on politics or whether people wore a mask. They don't care, right? The hospital workers are going to save your life regardless. They don't check for that kind of stuff. But they also have to go by procedure. They're not checking to see if you're vaccinated or not, but if you're unvaccinated, it's more likely you're going to be in the hospital. And if you're unvaccinated and you get COVID, it's more likely you're going to be in the hospital. So it's more likely unvaxxed people are going to be subjected to these procedures. So what are these procedures? Should there not be enough of a certain resource, care could be prioritized in the following order. Children first, up through 17 years old. Pregnant women with I was 17 back then. Okay, pregnant women with a viable pregnancy at more than 28 weeks of gestation. Adults by age from younger to older, ages 18 to 40. 41 to 60, 61 to 75, and 76 and older. So the older you are, the further back you are. Patients who perform tasks that are vital to the public health response of the crisis at hand, including, but not limited to, those who work directly, supports the provision of acute care to others. And then finally, a lottery or random allocation if there's still a tie after going through the first 4 priority criteria. So they're going to go through this if there's not enough, which is where Idaho is right now. And I got this information from Kyle Land and Becca Savransky from the Idaho Statesman. And they're saying Idaho's Department of Health and Welfare this week activated crisis standards of care across the state for first time as COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations surge. It's a dire situation for healthcare officials. It's a dire situation healthcare officials had been hoping to avoid. Public officials are continuing to urge people to get vaccinated as a key way to reduce the strain on healthcare systems and prevent serious illness. So how exactly does crisis standards of care work, and how could it affect you? Other states facing high numbers of COVID cases are considering rationing care, even if not statewide like Idaho. The largest hospital in Alaska recently adopted crisis standards, and and such western states as Nevada and New Mexico are expected to ration care in the near future. New Mexico had enacted crisis standards last December but lifted them once hospitalizations subsided. Intensive care units across the South are also near 100% capacity in several states, including Texas and Florida, according to data from the New York Times. However, the Idaho statesman could not find a state besides Idaho that had implemented crisis standards across all health systems. Like, it's no joke in Idaho. It's no joke. So, yeah, right? I got these people, I hear these people talking like, oh yeah, my body, my right, and or like, I don't know what's in those vaccines. I don't know. I have to do my research. Like, I heard those people. I'm doing my research right now, right? You're with me right now. We just read a newspaper article about about how hospitals are so full of COVID people in Idaho that they have to like ration their care. Basically death panels. Okay, that's some research. Like, how many are those people in the hospital because of the vaccine? No, they're in the hospital because of COVID. All right, but wait a minute. Like, it's one thing to talk about, like, yeah, your own right, my right to not, prevent getting a disease. That's fine, but what about the people who have to take care of you regardless? Like, they don't care if you took the vaccine or not. They're gonna take care of you anyways. But don't you care about them? They're putting their life on the line to take care of you. They're pouring out their energy, their life energy, to take care of you, another human being, so you don't die. Like, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of energy, and it doesn't come from a robot. You can't burn a piece of coal and get health care. It has to come from a human being. So it's a special kind of energy, right? It's not just energy you get from burning coal, spinning a turbine. It's not going to work that way. It's healthcare from a human being, and that's draining on a person. It's draining. It like takes something from you. So let's think about them for a bit, right? Let's think about them for a bit. They told, here's a nurse who told her story, and I'm going to read to you her story. So, I'm sitting here in my car. I'm sitting here in my car this morning, too exhausted to even start driving. I can't get your face out of my head. These community hospital shifts are brutal. I remember taking care of you 4 weeks ago. You had gone to urgent care in the beginning. Here, let me put it this way, so I look like I'm looking the right way. All right. Okay. Still fit? All right. Okay. I remember taking care of you 4 weeks ago. You had gone to urgent care the beginning of August, just barely in your 50s, a few years older than me. No medical or surgical history, no vaccine, diagnosed with COVID, sent home with meds. 2 days later, EMS brought you in, hypoxic, in horrible condition. We quickly intubated you. You looked so bad. You suffered through proning, acute kidney injury, dialysis. 4 weeks ago, we were hopeful. You were going for a peg and a trach. We couldn't get you off sedation or you would panic and decompensate. I don't remember what problem you were having that was making it so hard to get the trach done. I just remember it kept getting canceled. Fast forward 5 weeks later. I'm back at this hospital after my own bout of COVID. I'm back to work already, but I was vaccinated. You are my patient again. You are not doing well. They thought after the trach, you would do better. You did for a couple days. Then the first lung collapsed, needing a chest tube. Then the second. Then more pneumonia. More dialysis. You are do not resuscitate now. Your wife is exhausted. We were supposed to make you comfort care tomorrow. You have 3 daughters. The youngest is just 14. We are waiting for her to come in. But you can't wait for tomorrow. I get reported to find you to find out you tanked. They pushed atropine at 6 p.m. to get your heart rate up. Went up on the pressors. Your wife had been told. She had just finally gotten to the laundromat and put the clothes in. We tell her you won't make the night. She's hurrying as fast as she can. I go in to see you. You are a shell. You don't respond to anything anymore. You lie there, pale and gray, mouth hanging open. I wave a fly out from your mouth. It can't seem to wait for you to pass. Your wife and kids come in. They are barely holding it together. My eyes go to your youngest. She looks terrified and lost. I can't imagine what this is like for her. I just want to hug her. I try to smile with my eyes from behind the mask, doing everything I can to give comfort. In an ideal world, you would be my only patient. But we have only half the nurses we should. We are all running, transferring patients to get more in. Have to go see my other unvaccinated, intubated COVID patient, also your age. I squeeze your wife's arm supportively and hurry to put on all my gear. You seem stable, so I hurry to do what I need in my other room. I'm not in there 5 minutes, and your heart rate and blood pressure drop again. The doctor sticks her head in to let me know. There's nobody to go attend you. We are all drowning. I hurry. I come out and the docs ask me if we are waiting for any other family members to arrive, judging if we will make you comfort or keep trying to keep you alive. I try to find a way to gently bring this up with your wife. She says at first, no, nobody else is coming. Yes, comfort measures are good. No more interventions. You are air hungry, breathing too fast and alarming your vent. Doctors give me pain meds orders to keep you comfortable. I go up on sedation and push meds. Your 14-year-old is holding your hand. She can't watch me do it. She is terrified of needles and afraid I'm poking you. I show her I'm not. It's just a syringe in your IV. Tears are in her eyes, and she just can't watch. Docs tell me to turn off your pressors. Your wife comes out and says, wait, let me call his mom. Your mom was planning on coming tomorrow morning. I go up on your pressors, and we wait for her. This tiny, frail woman comes in. She worries me. I'm a mom myself. I can't imagine seeing my child like this, let alone watching him die. I give everyone some time. Then, when they are ready, I turn off the blood pressure meds. Your heart rate is already in the 40s. It doesn't take very long, about an hour. Your heart rate gets slower and slower as your oxygen levels read less and less until there's no more blood pressure reading on oxygen. I watch your rhythm change. I know it will be moments. I want to be there with you and your family, but we don't have enough staff. I sit on the monitor so I can keep silencing the maddening alarms. Your family watches as you flatline. A wail goes up that it pierces my soul. It's your girls. Your wife is trying to be strong for them. I keep silencing the alarm, trying to find help to get monitors turned off. I print your last EKG strips showing Aristotle. I call the doctors. I frantically mash buttons. Frantically. Finally, I get some help to turn off the monitors. Once the doctors come in and to pronounce you and to take you off ventilation. Time of death, 3 hours into my shift. Even flatlined and off the vent, you give one little sigh and belly rise after the doctor pronounces you. I pray your kids didn't see it. I don't want them any more traumatized. Your family stays a while. I make my mandated calls to the organ and tissue donor line. We go through the rote questions. Even though we both know COVID will keep you from being a donor. The lady on the other end asks me the cause of death. I give a dark laugh. COVID, of course. I ask her if there's any other kind right now. She says no. And I hang up. That's all I got. Oh, yeah. No, I don't. And check on your family. I go through all the tough questions and paperwork. Do you have a funeral home picked out? No. That's okay. You can call with us for that information. They ask what happens next. I tell them to take whatever time they need. Your wife asks me if we need the room. I lie and tell her no. Where will you go, they ask. I let them know you will be transported to the morgue pending funeral home pickup. Your daughter gives a hitching sob. I ask if there are any belongings. Your mom wants your ring. Your wife has your regular wedding ring at home. It's just silicone on your finger now, but I give it to your mom. The only thing here is your shorts you came in the ambulance wearing. Your wife doesn't want them. She can't bear to look at them. She just tells me to throw them away. Your family is ready to go. They mill about outside your room, all but your oldest. She can't bear to leave you. She is by your bed, crying. Your youngest is shriveled in on herself, holding her stomach like somehow she can contain her grief that way. I give her my condolences. To your family, it sounds hollow even to myself. What can I say? I tell your wife that your daughters can stay as long as she needs. They can go on home if they want. This is where your wife loses it. Her voice breaking and tears spilling out. I don't want her driving by herself. I need to know she's okay and not alone. I nod in understanding. I have a kid her age. I have to go check in on my other patient. I hear IVs beeping and alarms going off. They never stop. When I come back out, you are all that's left in the room. I do your post-mortem care. All of the lines and tubes and invasive things have to come out. I've removed your chest tubes, your dialysis catheter, your central lines, your intestinal fecal bag, your trach we worked so hard to put in. I try my best to clean up all the foul fluids and place bandages on so you'd stop leaking so badly. I wash you and attach your tag to your toe. I get help and zip you into the body bag, naked but for that toe tag. Security comes and you finally leave this ICU after entering it 7 weeks ago. Housekeeping comes in and does a stat clean. There are more patients waiting for your bed. Another nurse tells me your wife is so upset because one of your daughters has still been refusing the vaccine. She says, how can you risk putting me through this again? I wonder if it's the one who couldn't leave. I hope for her and your wife's sake, this changes her mind. I sigh, try to shake it off and go admit the next patient who can't breathe. Too long didn't read. All of this is a real account. None of this is exaggerated or made up. If anything, I held back for fears of revealing too much patient information. This doesn't even talk about what it's like when all these patients keep coming, all having the same outcomes. My next admit from the floor is 74. Both him and his wife caught COVID. His admit note says he was vaccinated, but his but the doctor tells me no, and that's all. Holy shit, I'm wrecked. Hold on. Wow. Hey, there's some more research, huh? Now we know what it's like to die of COVID. Well, from the nurse's perspective. Could you believe that? The daughter still not getting vaccinated even after watching her dad die? These are our ancestors. These are people in line in the Bronx, New York, getting the smallpox vaccination. Why don't we hear about smallpox anymore? Oh, that's right. We eradicated it because everyone got vaccinated. Everyone got vaccinated. That's why we eradicated smallpox. Everyone got vaccinated. Research, right? We're doing research. We're just doing research. That's all. We're doing research. We're checking out these things, right? So both of these boys, they're twins. Both of these boys are twins. They both got smallpox. Both of them have smallpox right now. They both have smallpox. One boy was vaccinated and the other boy was not vaccinated. I'll let you guess which one was vaccinated and which one was not vaccinated. But here, in case you can't guess, I'm going to read the text. This photo shows two children, both infected with smallpox. Well, maybe they weren't twins. They were both infected the same day from the same source. The one on the left was unvaccinated. The one on the right was vaccinated as an infant. The vaccine didn't stop him from getting sick, and he could still have potentially spread the virus. But by the time this photo was taken, he had only had 1 or 2 spots that had already scabbed over, so he was well on his way to recovery. So the vaccine wasn't 100% effective in stopping infection or the spread of the virus, but it did stop serious illness and drastically lessen the chance of spreading the virus. Sounds familiar? Oh, and for the billionth time, masks don't protect you from catching the virus. They protect others from getting the virus from you when you're asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic. That's why doctors wear a face mask when performing surgery. It's not like they're afraid of catching a broken bone or a bad hip. They don't want to spread germs onto you. They're not afraid of germs coming onto them from you onto them. They're afraid of their germs getting onto you. That's why the doctors wear the mask. To protect you, not to protect them. What's this? I don't even know what that is. Oh, just a quick perspective check. All right. Quick check on perspective. Where did my perspective go? So, Who were brought to the Americans in chains, transported at the bottom of ships? Was it A, black lives, B, blue lives, or C, all lives? Who were enslaved in the Americas for over 400 years? Was it A, black lives, B, blue lives, or C, all lives? Okay, next one. Who were legally counted as 3/5 of a human in the Americas? Was it A, black lives, B, blue lives, or C, all lives? Question 4. Prior to World War I, who were legally forbidden from learning to read and write and from attending schools? Was it A, black lives, B, blue lives, or C, all lives? Question 5. Who were legally prevented from attending public schools with whites until 1954? Was it A, black lives, B, blue lives, or C, all lives? All right. Last question, number 6. Who were lynched or killed in the Americas for speaking to white women? Was it A, black lives, B, blue lives, or C, all lives? All right. Please be sure to turn on your quizzes, hand your quizzes to the left. Person at the end of the row, bring them up to the desk. Leave them right here. Thank you. Yeah, I don't need to take attendance. I just grade quizzes. Okay. Yeah, that's hilarious. What else do I got? I don't know what all this is. I'm just like pulling stuff up. Okay, Israeli apartheid versus South African apartheid versus 1940s USA. So Jewish or white-only schools, cities, buses, and restaurants. Yes in South Africa, yes in Americas, and yes in Israel. Okay. Violent government removal from home based on race or religion. Yes in South Africa, yes in 1940s America, and yes in Israel. Okay. Mandatory IDs identifying persons by race or religions. Oh, this is starting to change in a lot of states that require mandatory voter ID, right? In Texas. So I think that's a check now for today. So yes, yes, and yes. Government laws on where? What? Non-Jews or non-whites. Oh, where non-Jews and non-whites can travel. I don't think there's laws, but there's like de jure laws. Like it's not or not de jure. It's de facto laws, right? Ahmaud Arbery thought he could go jogging in a neighborhood, right? It's just jogging, but I guess apparently not. He got murdered by a bunch of white supremacists. So actually, this looks bad for the United States. It's not 1940s America. This is like today America. Dude, I know they're trying to dig on Israel, but they're kind of digging on the United States. Or like dissing. Oh yeah, Fox News. Did you know that Fox News requires its employees to be vaccinated? Yeah, in order to work at Fox, you have to be vaccinated, and then you have to upload your proof of vaccination. Thank you for being a valued Fox team member. So if you don't vax, you can't work at Fox. But isn't it weird how the Fox News tells you not to get vaccinated, Why would they require their own people to get vaccinated, but then tell you, the viewer, not to be vaccinated? What's the deal? Why would they do that? Did you know? Okay, so Bob Woodward. Okay, here before. Bob Woodward. So Bob Woodward is famous for being a journalist who did the Whitewater thing. He was famously known as Deep Throat, and he's been like using that forever. So apparently, like, all this bad stuff was going on during the Bush administration or the Trump administration that Bob Woodward knew about, but didn't tell anybody because he saved it for his book to make money off his book afterwards. Like, okay, whatever, but at least we know, right? So, and Bob Woodward is telling us that in his book that Donald Trump was pressuring Mike Pence to call the election invalid, illegal, or like something, to say the election was no good. So Mike Pence was like wavering. He was like, I don't know. I'm getting a lot of pressure from Donald Trump, who's really pushing me. And so he called another ex-president or ex-vice president, Dan Quayle. Dan Quayle is a guy we made fun of all the time back in the aughts because he was like a stupid person. We all thought he was stupid. Like, he was like the best defense against assassination, because we thought even as dumb as George W. Bush was, Dan Quayle was even worse. Dan Quayle was like just ridiculously stupid. We thought Dan Quayle was dumb. For real. We thought Dan Quayle was stupid. Just utterly dumb. Total airhead. But what happens, right? It's January 5th. It's like the day before the insurrection, the Trump's insurrection, and Trump is pressuring Mike Pence to the next day to declare the whole thing, to mess up the whole thing, the vote certification. He wants Mike Pence to mess up the vote certification. And Mike Pence is starting to waver. He's like, I don't know. So Mike Pence calls the stupidest vice president in the whole world, Dan Quayle. Well, what I thought was the stupidest vice president of the whole world, Dan Quayle. I thought, and this is what he said, right? In the days leading up to January 6th, Mr. Pence called Mr. Quayle, the only living Republican vice president, forced to certify an election in which he was on the losing ticket. Mr. Pence told him that the president was convinced that Mr. Pence could throw out the election results in order to keep himself in power. Mike, you have no flexibility on this, Mr. Quayle told Mr. Pence. None. Zero. Forget it. Put it away. Dan Quayle was the one who saved the republic, because Dan Quayle told Mike Pence, don't do it. Don't do it, Mike Pence. Don't do it. Mike Pence is like, okay, fine, I'm not going to do it. Because Donald Trump really wanted him to do it. He was getting pressured a lot. And check it out, dude. Trump was like going, oh yeah, this is another part. So Miley feared that Trump could do something unpredictable. Miley's fear that Trump could do something unpredictable came from experience. Right after Trump lost the election, Miley discovered the president had signed a military order to withdraw all troops from Afghanistan by January 15th, 2021, before he left the White House. Right? This is like before the new president gets in. This is during the transition. The memo had been secretly drafted by 2 Trump loyalists. No one on the national security team knew about it, according to the book. The memo was eventually nullified, but Miley could not forget that Trump had done an end run around his top military advisors. So Trump was already looking for ways to like mess up, to like take control of the military himself, to move around the leaders, and to seize control directly. Miley's fear was based on his own observations of Trump's erratic behavior. His concern was magnified by the events of January 6th and the extraordinary risk the situation posed to the U.S. national security, the authors write. Miley had already had 2 back-channel phone calls with China's top general, who was on high alert over the chaos in the U.S. Then Miley received a blunt phone call from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, according to the book. Woodward and Costa exclusively obtained a transcript of the call, during which Miley tried to reassure Pelosi that the nuclear weapons were safe. Yeah. So apparently, China started to like believe its own intelligence, because a lot of what like countries do is like threats, just threat. The threat is worth more than the actual like this. It's the same thing in chess, right? The same thing in chess. The threat is more powerful than the piece. It's better to have a piece on the board that threatens than it is to just like take the piece and then like make the exchange and be done with it. Because now the threat is gone. Now you have no threat anymore. As long as you have that threat there, you make the other person pause and reconsider and reposition their troops because of the threat. It's implied, and you're not doing anything. You're not, you know, it's not, nothing's happening, but it's the threat. And as long as you have the threat there and you make the other person uncomfortable, that's worth more than the actual like taking of the thing. The threat is worth more. So, you know, a lot of states have their, you know, well, I guess the United States has I assume the United States has military assets in a position that threaten China right now. But that threat is mitigated somehow. Like, yeah, we got peace. We got guys there, but we're not going to use them. They're just in case. Don't worry, China. They're just in case. Like, they look threatening, but they're just there just in case. Don't start none, won't be none. Well, but you gotta have communication, right? So China and U.S. are always talking to each other because you don't want there to be an accidental mistake. China's playing the same game. China does the same game. The same thing, right? That's why China's taking over all those reefs in the South China Sea in order to like make it their sea, in order to control it, right? For the threat. I mean, yeah. Why did I start talking about threat? Oh, yeah. Well, with Trump being unstable, China started thinking, well, maybe we can't believe the Americans. Maybe they really are going to attack us because they're moving around, right? And Trump is, you know, it's an unstable time in America. Trump is in power. Like, looking from the Chinese perspective, right? They're looking at the United States and they're like, Trump is in power. He's not going by the normal traditional structure. He's kind of like taking over control of himself. So the normal, predictable, stable pattern of the U.S. military is no longer normal and predictable. So when they're threatening pieces move, it's not to reposition, like normal repositioning. It's threatening. Maybe we should take this seriously and go on high alert. That's China, right? So Miley had to go in. And he couldn't ask Trump to do it because Trump wants the chaos. So Miley had to go in and be like, no, China, dude, everything's cool. We're not going to attack you. Everything's cool. Everything is cool, China. Everyone's cool. Be cool, China. Be cool. What's Fonzie like? What's Fonzie like? That's right, he's cool. Be cool. All right. But it was scary, dude. Trump wanted to overthrow the country. And Bob Woodward sitting there writing a book to make money afterwards. 3. How about this one? What's this one? So, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Miley told General Zi Lo Chen of the People's Liberation Army that the United States would not strike. One phone call took place on October 30th, 2020, 4 days before the election that defeated Trump. The second call was on January 8th, just 2 days after the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol by supporters of the outgoing chief executive. So both times that they made the phone call, it was during a position where Trump was trying to overthrow the country. He tried to seize power right after the election by calling Arizona for himself. He tried to. And then he tried to get Georgia to change the results, and they wouldn't do it. Then he tried to do some stupid audit in Arizona, and that's not happening. And then he was trying to do some stupid audit in Pennsylvania, and that's not going to happen. I mean, it's just not going to happen. But his goal is to overthrow the country. He doesn't abide by democracy anymore, is what he's telling everyone. Ugh. No longer abides by democracy. Okay, what else do I got? Oh yeah, here, more research. So even with all the coverage of Florida, it just bears repeating the horror that the COVID death rate is in Florida. Okay, revealing the horror that the COVID death rate in Florida right now is, on average, nearly twice as high now as it was in the prior waves. So people are dying twice as much as they were before, even after the vaccine. Even after knowing what we know now, they're dying even more. Oh, what is this? This is hilarious. The Matrix is just Plato's cave with dialogue. I dug it. I dug it a lot. But when I first saw The Matrix, it was 1999, and I was in the student union at University of Nevada, Reno, and they had old school. They had a big ass TV, not the flat screen monitors that we have nowadays, but the old school cathode ray TV tube with like I don't know if it was a tape or a DVD on repeat, playing behind the scenes footage of the filming of The Matrix, of like how they did the special effects. So I got primed about the movie, about seeing the special effects. I still didn't know what the movie was about. And then when I went in there, and like I thought, okay, big deal, big movie. And then when he woke up out of the pod, and he saw that all the other humans were in their pod, I flipped out. To me, it was an explanation of Marxism. It was the way I saw when I first understood Marxism, and when I took my first sociology class and I learned about Marxism, that was what it was like for me. It was like I'd like everything had like fallen away, and I'd seen things for what it really was. Oh boy, it was the same thing. But yeah, like consciousness hasn't really advanced all that far. Sure, our technology is great, but in terms of human consciousness, it's kind of stagnated since the ancient Greeks. It hasn't gone that much farther. Ancient Greeks were pretty awesome, and the ancient Greeks got their stuff from all the other ones: the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Egyptians. So, it wasn't like they were just cool on their own. They did trade, and when they do trade with people, you pick up ideas. So I'm sure they picked up stuff from other people. It wasn't just that the ancient Greeks are great. They're pretty cool though, right? Their art kind of like had to wait for the Italians, didn't you? All right. Okay, Clyburn. Man, I'm so tired. Okay. Oh, I got more coffee. Hold on. Before I get into this. Okay, let me keep going. So I keep shifting gears, man. This is like a rally race, you know, where you're going up and down hills and turns and stuff. I need to continually shift gears. Like, I don't really have most of my energy went into making that train station this week. So like I haven't had time to like make this into a coherent story. I'm gonna just jump around a bunch. So the deal in Washington, for me, it feels a lot like what happened in 2008. So in 2008, the Democrats, well, was it 2008? I think it was 2010. 2008, the Democrats kicked out 2008 Democrats kicked out Bush and got Obama. And then I think in 2000, yeah, they must have got a trifecta. The House, the Senate, and the presidency. So they spent 2 agonizing years. It was agony to pass Obamacare. And let me tell you, it was agony. It took so long to do the most basic stuff. So by the time at the end of the 2 years, when they finally got Obamacare passed, it was a piece of crap. It was terrible. It was basically a Republican bill being passed by a Democratic supermajority. It was Romney Care. You know, Romney, Republican, Mitt Romney, Republican from Utah, had this health care plan called Romney Care that he did in Massachusetts. And the Democrats pretty much just stole that and used that. So it's a Republican health care plan. But because Democrats proposed it, Republicans were by default against it. So it's a Republican health care plan proposed by Democrats and opposed by Republicans. Passed with a Democratic supermajority. So, and it took 2 years to pass it. It was all the wrangling and fighting involved. It was awful. It made you feel so bad about government at the end of it that I just felt disgusted by the Democrats. And really, it was just like a few jerk Democrats, like Joe Lieberman, who was a senator from Connecticut that represented insurance companies. So because he's a representative for insurance companies, of course he was against Obamacare. He was against the public option. So he messed up the whole thing. He messed up the whole thing because he wanted to save the insurance companies. He served insurance companies before he was loyal to Democrats or to the people. He was loyal to insurance companies. So that's why Obamacare was a Republican plan passed by Democrats. So it was awful. It was awful. Okay, fast forward to current time. It's 2021. We have a Democratic majority in all 3 branches of government. Well, the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They need to pass bills, but again, you have these spoiler people killing it, who are more loyal to themselves and to the Republicans, to special interests, than they are to the people or to the Democrats. And I don't want to say Democrats are perfect. There's a bunch of bad ones, of course. But like until we get a multi-party system, we're stuck with them, or until we smash and I don't. Yeah. Ugh. and at least Democrats are like on board with democracy, whereas Republicans are absolutely against it. They are demonstrably against it. All right. So they're trying to pass this bill, and they got these people these Democrats who are basically trying to turn Bernie Sanders put forward the bill that they need to pass. It was $6 trillion. Well, so here, it's probably better to do it like this. All right. So Bernie Sanders has a bill. It's here. I need to make slabs, or have slabs on hand. Okay, so Bernie proposed $6 billion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me write a sign here. We're gonna be all educational. My game crashed. For real? Really? Okay. Slabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is Bernie Sanders' bill. Okay, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, $6 trillion. That's what he said, right? The Republicans, what they said, oh, how about How about this? So Bernie said, to do infrastructure, we need $6 trillion. Infrastructure and everything else. To rebuild America, because we've been neglecting America for so long, we need $6 trillion. This is Bernie Sanders in committee and came out of committee, and this is what he said he needed, right? This is what the Republicans said that we need. Republicans said, yeah, they looked at the infrastructure, they looked at the collapsing bridges, they looked at the lead in all the drinking water. They looked at the roads and they say, yeah, 600 billion sounds good to fix America. 600 billion spread around 50 states. I think that's GOP. That's what GOP wants to do, and that's what Bernie says. Okay, so the Democrats, they come around, right? They come around, and the Democrats come out and they say, all right, fine, we're gonna do 1, 2, 3 and a half. All right. So that's ooh. So House Dems come out and say, fine, we will compromise and pass that. So here's what we got. Bernie Sanders, $6 trillion. What the Republicans want, $650 billion. What comes out of the House is 3.5 trillion. Let's see. Okay, now now come Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. Right. So this is Bernie and this is Republicans. Here, I should change this. So 6. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three, right here. There we go. That's the way to look at it. That's the way to look at it. Okay. So Bernie Sanders. This is House Dems. Okay, and then this is let's make it red. Or pink. Red. Red's good. That way you know it's Republicans. I should even make these, but you can't really read it. Okay, so Republicans. So let's look at this. Let's look at this. That's Bernie Sanders to rebuild America. This is Republicans, what they think to rebuild America. So 650 billion and 6 trillion. To rebuild America, they want to split 650 billion across 50 states. And Bernie Sanders wants to split 6 trillion across 50 states. Okay, so House Dems compromise and come out with 3.5 trillion. Okay, Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin come out. And what they want to do is pass a bill that's closer. I'm gonna put it over here. So Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin come out and say, you know, we're definitely not gonna vote for that, and we don't want to vote for this. Hey guys, what if we go like this? What if I pass a bill and we vote for like this? So this is Joe. So this is Manchin. Sinema and Manchin. Sinema. Okay. So Bernie Sanders says 6 trillion. Democrats say 3.5 trillion. Republicans say 650 billion. And these Democrats, well, they used to be Democrats. I don't know what they are now. These guys are saying, hey, Democrats, let's go with 1 trillion. So does this bill that Sinema want to pass, does it look more like a Democrat bill, a Bernie Sanders bill, or a Republican bill? I've seen this game before, right? Bernie Sanders passed, came out of committee and said, we need public option. So yeah, they had so the Democrats passed a bill, or had a bill with public option. But then Joe Lieberman, and then of course the Republicans wanted nothing, right? They want no health care reform. But then Joe Lieberman comes in, and what does Joe Lieberman say? No. Okay, so I did all that to make this to like have this cement in your head what's going on, because this is a repeat. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. This is history rhyming. History is rhyming. All right, I was here the last time. This happened. The last time this happened, it wasn't the big bill wasn't infrastructure. The big bill was healthcare. So the last time this happened, Bernie Sanders said we need the public option. It was going to be a lot of money. Right? The Dems, once they got it through committee, said sure, a pared down public option, but sure. The Republicans said no, dude, don't change healthcare at all. Don't change it. Don't reform it. Don't do nothing. Leave it the way it is. Don't do nothing. So it was going to pass with a public option, but Joe Lieberman came in. He represents insurance companies, and he proposed something which is basically the Republican. It's basically the Republican bill, right? Because it had no public option. It had, so it was basically the Republican bill. It was the only thing that he would agree to. So what ended up getting passed? This bill right here. What's this bill called? Obamacare. So when you look at it, compared to what it should have been, the compromise, what Republicans wanted, and then what we got, you got to think, whose bill is this? Whose bill is this? This was a Republican bill. Obamacare is actually Romney care. Oh, I need more signs. Because Obamacare is actually Romney care. And Romney care this way. Nope, this way. Okay. You know, here, this is like distracting. Okay. Let us look now. When I say history is rhyming, this is what happened last time in 2008. The big bill was healthcare. It included Bernie Sanders, included the public option. Had to have it. You need the public option. Right. The what got out of committee included a public option. They didn't really flesh it out, but it was there. All right. Joe Lieberman said no. He works for the insurance companies. He used to help the Democrats, but he said no public option. And he offered, and then, of course then the Republicans were like, no, nothing. So Joe Lieberman offered like what turned out to be Obamacare, but Obamacare was actually Romneycare, and Romneycare is actually the Heritage Foundation, because back in the 90s, Hillary Clinton had the idea to provide health care for all Americans. She had the idea to do it. Hillary Clinton had the idea to do it. And it was scary to the Republicans because they do not want universal health care, right? They do not want universal health care. Their idea of health care control is nothing. So a counter offer to Hillary's health care was the Heritage Foundation plan, which got rolled into Romneycare, which got rolled into Obamacare, which is what got passed, which is the Republican plan, which has got passed, right? And then the Republicans spent the next decade attacking a Republican bill so that we Americans could be so grateful that the Democrats passed a Republican healthcare plan, which that is shit. Because look right now, dude, look at insulin. Look at the cost of drug prices. Like, it's stupid. Healthcare is not fixed at all. Like, it's dumb. Like, the Republican bill did exactly what it was meant to do, which is nothing. But Democrats spent 10 years defending it because it was a Republican bill. Now it's the next turn. Now it's the next turn. Now the big bill that we're passing is not healthcare. No, now it's infrastructure. So Bernie Sanders comes out with a $6 trillion bill, and the Republicans come out with their counter offer of 1/10 that amount, $650 billion for all 50 states to fix infrastructure. So what comes out of committee is a compromise of $3.5 trillion. Why would you compromise with them? I don't know, but they do. So they compromise with with Republicans who are not going to vote for the bill. I don't know why you're compromising, because none of them are going to vote for it. Then it doesn't matter what your price tag is. 0 Republicans will vote for it. It doesn't matter, but they do it anyways. They preemptively compromise with the Republicans and lower their bill to $3.5 trillion. Well, then Joe Lieberman, I'm sorry, not Joe Lieberman, I mean Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema come out and say, hey guys, why don't we offer a $1 trillion bill, which is basically this Republican counteroffer. It's basically the Republican counteroffer. It's basically the Republican bill. And so, okay, that's the situation, right? I'm sorry it took so long, but I needed to provide the context so that you can understand what I'm going to show you right here. Clyburn is a senior Democrat in the House. So right now, they're trying to pass this bill. They're trying to pass this bill. They want to pass this bill, the House bill. But these guys, Sinema and Chinna, the Republican Democrats, are trying to change that bill, the Democrat bill, into a Republican bill. They want Democrats to pass a Republican bill, like they did with Obamacare. The same thing they did with Obamacare, they want to do again with the infrastructure bill. The same exact thing. So here's Clyburn. Well, I don't know. Oh. Don't die on me. Dude, everything like minimized. I didn't want that. Why did everything minimize? Dude, you messed me up by doing that. Is it still there? Like, I don't know. All right, it's still there. Don't minimize everything. Come on. All right, here I was reading that. So, well, Clyburn on what Democrats' plan is for the debt limit. Oh, that's right. So on top of this coming on, right? We have the debt limit, the debt ceiling limit. Now you might ask, why is this debt ceiling limit coming up so quickly? Didn't we just have a fight over that again? Well, yeah, it was taken care of for a while, but Donald Trump and the Republicans passed a bill that borrowed $10 trillion and gave it to the billionaires for stimulus. And because of that tax plan, now we bump up against our debt ceiling limit again. So that, yeah, because of the GOP tax plan, we've already bumped up against the debt ceiling limit. So we have to pass this bill for some reason in order to keep the government going, or we'll shut down. And I think so. This is a problem created by the Republicans, but they want to use it to get power. So how are the Democrats going to respond? Well, I don't know I don't know that we have a plan to do that, but I certainly would advocate doing that. Doing what? You know, when I was whipped before, we had the responsibility of keeping the country from going under after the Great Recession back in 2008. And the Republicans, the majority there, walked away from that. And we filled in that void and did it as a party, and we'll do that again. The full faith and credit of the United States of America should not be compromised on the altar of politics. And I would hope that our Republican friends would get beyond politics and do what's necessary to keep this country moving forward and to keep us financially integrity in place. And Tapper says, but you're not relying on your Republican friends to vote that way, right? You're fine with it passing in a Democrats only vote, Clyburn. No, I'm not fine with that. But if that's what it takes, that's what it will take. The American people will see what the Republicans are doing on this front as well. They're doing enough on the social front to destroy the integrity of the country's fabric, and they will see them doing the same thing on the financial front. I think we ought to do what's necessary and message to the American people exactly who is trying to destroy this great democracy that we hope to keep in place. Jake Tapper. So you're certain that House will still vote on this bipartisan infrastructure bill on September 27th and it will pass? Or is it also a possibility that you'll delay the vote? Clyburn. Well, there's always a possibility that the vote would get delayed. But the question is, are we going to work to get it to our goal for September 27th? Yes, we are going to work hard to reach that goal. And sometimes you kind of stop the clock to get to the goal. We'll do what's necessary to get there. So what he's saying is it's going to be delayed. He's trying to spin it, but what he's saying is that, yeah, it's going to be delayed. They're going to keep delaying it. Now remember, the Republican goal is to delay the infrastructure bill until January 2023. So the more you can delay it, the better it helps Republicans. So that's what Sinema and Manchin are doing. They're trying to delay the bill to get it to be as close to zero as possible. That's the Republican goal. Delay until it's zero. Then you succeed. Democrats, right? They don't have the votes. And they don't have enough power to pass the Bernie Sanders Democrat bill. They can't pass the Democratic bill, but they're going to try to pass the Republican bill. But they want to delay. Remember, Sinema and Manchin want to delay so that this is as close to this or nothing as possible. That's the goal of Manchin and Sinema. Delay until you get to as close to nothing as possible. That's where we're at in politics in Washington, D.C. So what else happened? There was a big rally yesterday to rally behind the insurrection, but no one showed up for it. No one showed up for the rally. Instead, there was a whole bunch of reporters there, and they got tricked. Matt Gertz told us MSNBC ran a 30-second soundbite of rally organizer Matt Braynard doing his talking points in an interview. A pretty big propaganda coup for someone who mobilized what could generously be termed dozens of people. So this Yahoo got to go on national TV and tell everyone all his Nazi talking points for free. I can't even do that, and I'm doing it for free on YouTube. I can't get anyone to repeat my talking points, but they'll repeat a Nazi talking point on national television. What else we got here? Oh yeah, okay. So that's national news, right? But you want to know what's really going on? What happened in Salem was 1,000 people showed up at our Capitol. What were they protesting? But I don't know. But 1,000 people showed up. Way more people showed up in Salem, Oregon, than they showed up in D.C. Where were the reporters for it? They were in D.C. So there was one guy who went down there to report and to take pictures and record video, but his tweets are protected. So I don't know if I feel comfortable showing like who my source is, but I got a copy of his tweets and stuff. So check it out. In Salem, look, this is what he said. In Salem. Well, this looks interesting. That's a whole bunch of people. There's not a single officer of any law enforcement agency present, except a lone park ranger, at least visibly. This is in complete contrast to the event in D.C. earlier today. Is this a vaccine thing? So I stand for medical freedom of choice. Stop the mandates. Is it a vaccine thing? Is it a liberty thing? No forced vaccine, liberty. There's a guy dressed all in black. I don't know what that sign says. I will not comply. My body, my right to choose. Something. I will not comply. Okay. Is it a liberty thing? Is it a vaccine thing? You know, I stand for medical freedom of choice. Is it a Second Amendment thing? Because a guy showed up there with a fucking AR. Like, why would you show up with an AR? Like, do you want to kill people? What's the deal, dude? Oh, and look over here. You can see over here. Amendment, whatever. I can't read what it says. Is that like, I can't tell what amendment that is. It's not the Second Amendment, but at this point, I'm pretty confused. I'm glad someone called the Eugene Fire Department. Eugene Fire Department. You know, they're here in oh, he's there in uniform. So he must be there on official duty. So that's weird. Why is the Eugene Fire Department there on official duty in Salem? I'm glad someone called the Eugene Fire Department. I don't know about the rules on this, but in the military, you are absolutely forbidden from anything like this in uniform while on active duty. So I don't know what the deal is. There's got to be close to 1,000 people here. I'm pretty fucking confused about what universe dimension twilight zone I am in. A Lefties for Medical Freedom banner, a young boy with a My Body My Choice sign. I'm even more confused now than when I got here. You got a boy with a My Body My Choice sign. I'm a doctor and I support medical freedom. There's a Lefties for Medical Freedom next to the Trump sign. And that flag, I think, is an insurrection flag for the traitor who got killed, Ashley Babbitt. So that's an insurrection flag, a Trump thing, Lefties for Medical Freedom, and then over here, a Trump thing, My Body, My Choice by this young little boy. Government is not my doctor. So it's a, you know, it seems to be like a, I don't know, anti-something rally. I can't really tell. But it was huge, and it happened in Salem. And, you know, it was anti-vax, pro-Second Amendment, like anti-mask. We're probably going to have a big outbreak here in a bit. Because of that event. Here's the secret. California is a lower tax state than places like Texas for its middle and working class residents, where middle 20% in California pay just 8.3% of income in state taxes. Middle 20% in Texas pay 9.7% of their income. So yeah, Texas is a low tax state if you're rich, but if you're poor, Texas is real expensive, 13%. Whereas in California, like, yeah, if you're rich, it's expensive, sure. But if you're middle, it's kind of cheap, actually. What's all this stuff? Fox. All right. So I'm like petering out here. I've like gone on too long, reading too much stuff. This is like a big. This is like the heavy lift. This is the heavy part to get this in. Now that I got this in, it's easy to make lines, to make train lines. It just takes time, but it's not like having to understand how things work. It's just putting blocks down. This was hard to make, so I'm glad this is done, and I can get some use out of it. Gotta start naming stuff. But, okay, America, I want to end on a happy note. So, here in the United States, we have geese. We have the Canadian geese, and those things are pretty tough. You don't want to mess with geese. But I found out in Taiwan, they have a secret. They do some special stuff. Check this out. Look in Taiwan. Look at those geese. They're not eating his face or anything. Like, how are they not eating his face? The geese are like mesmerized. They're hanging out. They're like, yeah, dude, you know what's up. They're down with it, man. Like, I wouldn't ever get that close to a Canadian goose with my face. No way, they'll peck my eyes out. But these guys are transfixed. They're ready to march. Look at them. dude. Yeah. So even the most ornery of geese can be tamed by music. So I can't find a way to talk to certain kind of people. They seem beyond me. I have to remember there are always ways to communicate. There are always ways to reach out and make a bridge. There's always a way. I just got to find it. I just have to find it. All right, America. Thanks for hanging out. We're building. It's a slow process. It's evolution. It's never quick. It's just building on stuff. Constant building on shoulders. We stand upon the shoulders of giants. Always remember that. Okay, America, thank you for hanging out. Until next time, peace.